Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the Computer Guy, here for the Daily Blob, where we ask the question, what if you build a business relying on vendors whose businesses don't fundamentally work? We're going to find out in the next year or so. We're gonna see a lot of tech companies go boom because their core vendors cannot actually provide the services at the price point that was first advertised. I think about this, having been a technology professional now for almost 30 years, right? We had the whole thing in the dot-com boom, where whether it was websites or whether it was computer programs, there was so much investment out there that companies would create these products. You would then start relying on these products for your business, and then the company would go bust because they hadn't actually figured out a business model, right? We got this SaaS, software as a service, right? Salesforce comes out. Everybody loves Salesforce. Ergo, everybody's trying to create a software as a service product, 10, 15 years ago. And the thing was, there were a lot of amazing products out there that they just could not find the business, how to make a business out of this particular product. They're there, you bring it into your team, you bring it into your company, all of a sudden it goes bust, and that's a real pain in the ass, right? We now see this in the artificial intelligence world. We are told that AI is the future. AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. The one thing that AI cannot answer, though, is how to make those profit loss statements actually balance out so that many of these companies can actually be profitable. It is curious to see just how much money these artificial intelligence companies are burning, and have the real question of, will they ever be able to get that burn down? And that is an actual question out there. Can they get the price points of these products down to the point where they can get to profitability? This comes up with Anthropic. So apparently Claude Code, to be clear, everybody that I know that's used Claude Code gives Claude Code a thumb up. They say it's an absolutely amazing product. But here's the thing. What if that absolutely amazing product that people are using is bankrupting Anthropic? What happens when your core, again, product that you're using in order to do vibe coding or whatever else, what happens if they're not making enough money off of this product? And so we see with Anthropic now, they are bringing in new rate limits. So Anthropic unveils new rate limits to curb Claude Code power users. So basically the idea here is you're using your $200 account too much. When you spend $200 a month on an AI service, I mean, you're allowed to use it, but they don't actually expect you to use it or anything. And that's the issue that we're seeing, whether it's with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, or whether it's Claude Code. Even when you're spending $200 a month for the service, they're still losing money on that service, which, as I've said, brings into the question the whole business model. So this is going to be a bigger issue in the technology world, because I know more and more people are doing this whole vibe coding horse crap. The idea being you don't need to hire coders anymore. You as a CEO can do it yourself. As I've explained many times over the years, look, I know how to change my oil. I pay Ford to change my oil for a reason, right? Even at the $70 or $80 it is now for an oil change in the United States, that just makes a hell of a lot more sense than me changing my own oil for $20, right? But there's this weird thing, in the technology world, right? When I explain why I pay somebody else to change my oil, that makes complete and utter sense. But saying that CEOs or executives or whatever shouldn't be writing the code for their companies, that's no, Eli, no. It makes sense that you have somebody else change your oil, but I can write my own code for a platform. Anyways, but we're seeing more of this, and it's going to become more of a crap show. And what's kind of curious here is the whole question of what is the price point of these products going to be, and as companies go forward, are they going to be basing their own prices and business models off of unsustainable price points? Anthropic says it's rolling out new, and this is curious too, new weekly rate limits for Claude to curb usage among subscribers who are running its AI AI coding tool, Claude Code, quote, continuously in the background 24/7. Anthropic says the rate limits also aim to stop a handful of users who are violating Claude's usage policy by sharing accounts and reselling access to Claude Code. So, to be clear, in the AI world, this has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Anthropic's business model. This is simply, these are some nefarious outliers out there. The reason that we have to implement limits that are going to affect everybody is because of a few nefarious outliers. Does that sound like how technology actually works, or does that sound like spin? The new rate limits will go into effect August 28th for subscribers to Anthropic's $20 per month Pro plan, as well as its $100 and $200 per month Max plans, the company said Monday in an email to subscribers and a post on X. Now, the thing is, with a post on X, and actually to take a look at it, this is all there is for the post on X. This is how they communicate with you, with a post on X, because that's the modern world. And all they say is, we're rolling out new weekly rate limits for Claude Pro and Max in late August. We estimate they'll apply to less than 5% of subscribers based on current usage. Anthropic says its existing usage limits, which reset every 5 hours, will remain in place. So it's not like you have a weekly limit and the 5 hours go away. So you have a 5-hour limit, plus you're going to have 2 weekly limits. The company is also introducing 2 new weekly rate limits that reset every 7 days. So if you do something, if you do a while true loop, right? You're just like, right? You put in a loop that never hits the true condition. Think about this. You can be logged out of your account for 7 days. Like 5 hours sucks. 5 hours sucks, right? You're doing your thing. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. You do a loop. Oops. Right? Okay. So maybe you're having to do your work that night. Hey, I'm going to go watch a movie this afternoon since I can't do my job anyway. I will get back to this project at 6 o'clock at night after dinner once the 5-hour time frame has gone away. It sucks, but that's doable, right? 5 hours sucks, but is doable. They're talking about a 7-day limit. You do something stupid on Monday, your account's locked till Monday. Does that make you feel comfortable? Is that? Let's see here. One is an overall usage limit, whereas the other is specific to Anthropic's most advanced AI model, Claude Opus 4. Anthropic says Max subscribers can purchase additional usage beyond what the rate limit provides at standard API rates. So after you spend $200 a month on the service, you can buy more. Quote, Claude Code has experienced unprecedented demand since launch, said Anthropic spokesperson Amy Rotherham. Let's see here. Rotherham notes that, quote, most users won't notice a difference and that this limit will affect less than 5% of subscribers based on their current usage patterns. Thing to think about that is, where do they come up with the whole 5%? Is it actually 5%? And then the other thing to be thinking about is current usage patterns, right? So I'm sitting down, I'm playing around, I'm demoing, I'm trying to figure stuff out. My usage is going to be here. Once I put this into production, once we start deploying this to the rest of the team, the usage is going to go up. So is the service that you get during experimentation and testing going to be what you get in production? That's a real question to ask here. Anthropic tells TechCrunch that most pro users can expect, and this is what gets weird, this is one of the things I dislike with all these AI companies, is they obfuscate what the hell you're actually buying, right? So Anthropic tells TechCrunch that most pro users can expect 40 to 80 hours of Sonnet 4 through Claude Code within their weekly rate limits. Subscribers to Anthropic's $100 per month Max plan can expect 140 to 280 hours of Sonnet 4 and 15 to 35 hours of Opus 4. And subscribers to Anthropic's $200 per month Max plan can expect 240 to 480 hours of Sonnet 4 and 24 to 40 hours of Opus 4. Which means nothing. They're like, yeah, you pay us $200 a month and you're going to get blah, blah. What does that mean? Everybody knows what blah means. Yes, we guarantee you glockenspiel. If you spend $200 a month on Anthropic, you are going to get a glockenspiel level of service. We guarantee that. What the fuck does glockenspiel level of service mean? It means you're going to get glockenspiel. If you don't understand glockenspiel level of service, I guess you must be an imposter. And so that's the weird thing with this. Like how do the hours? One, you have these huge ranges, 40 to 80 hours, right? 140 to 280 hours, 240 to 480 hours. So what does the hours actually mean? Why is it 240 to 480? What does that actually mean? And when you go and you look through their actual facts or whatever, it doesn't become any clearer. So it is a massive question here of what service are you actually going to be receiving from Anthropic? The company notes that the usage may vary based on code base size and other factors. However, it's somewhat unclear how Anthropic is measuring usage. Yeah, so that's the thing. Is basically they are measuring usage dependent upon however the hell they decide to measure usage, and you're just going to have to suck it up, even if you are paying that $200 a month fee. So I think this is going to be a big thing to be considering as you start deploying artificial intelligence into your systems, you start deploying it for your teams and the rest of it. A big question that you really have to ask yourself right now is, will you be receiving the resources that you expect a year from now when you're buying into this, right? A big thing to be thinking about in the technology world is the real disasters are migration. Whatever the hell you're migrating away from. If you're migrating from one operating system to another, it sucks. If you're migrating from an old operating system to a new operating system, it sucks, right? If you're migrating from, God help you, from one SaaS platform to another SaaS platform, you don't really realize it, but implementing a brand new solution, although it's a pain in the ass, isn't actually the worst thing in the technology world. The worst thing in the technology world is migrating from an implemented solution, a solution you've been using for a couple of years, to a brand new solution. Not only do you have to worry about data and configurations and all that kind of stuff, it's also that your users are used to using the previous platform. And so one of the things to be considering right now with a lot of these AI products is they're trying to get you in. They're trying to sink their claws into you now while they do not understand their own business model. And the issue is, if you start using these products, we are going to start seeing more and more restrictions. In the AI world, we're going to see what's happened in the rest of the technology world. Right? AI is a business just like everything else. Profit, loss, all of that kind of stuff matters. We have been seeing a tremendous amount of investment into artificial intelligence over the past couple of years because investors need their return, right? The investors before, interest rates were so low, they invested a lot of money into technology companies because you could get exponential returns. What we've seen over the past couple of years is that the investments into the tech companies basically have been evaporating. Most of these major technology companies have been shedding employees by the tens of thousands at a time because they're no longer seen as valuable as they were. The investors still need some place to put money. So if the normal tech world is imploding, what they do is they look around, they find the next big thing, and the next big thing is artificial intelligence. And if you look at it, to be clear, I'm not anti-artificial intelligence. I'm not saying this doesn't have functions and use cases and will not make the world different. It'll make the world better? I don't know. Different, yes. My big concern here is the amount of investment going into artificial intelligence. When they start talking about the Stargate program in the United States, and they're talking about $500 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money on unproven tech. Right? You know, when you look at Facebook, Meta, dropping $100 million simply to recruit top talent, right? Just like Mark Zuckerberg dropped tens of billions of dollars in the metaverse, he's now dropping tens of billions of dollars into artificial intelligence because they have to be the AI leader. And I don't even understand. I don't get that. Microsoft becoming an AI leader, fine. Google, fine. Amazon, yeah, probably. OpenAI, Anthropic, that makes sense. Why does Meta need to become the OpenAI leader? Like, where? What's the business case for that, right? They're a social media platform. I mean, don't get me wrong, they need to integrate AI. They need to figure out improved automation workflows and all that kind of stuff. But seriously, why do they need to be the leader in artificial intelligence, right? Why? Because Mark Zuckerberg wants them to be for some weird reason. But the important thing to understand is there's so much money being thrown into this vertical that is just being burned, lit on fire, right? And so the question is just like you see in the normal tech world, everything going on there, what happens when that hits the AI vertical, which it's going to, and I would argue it's probably going to relatively soon, within the next year. And so what's going to happen with all of these AI products that you have implemented into your systems? Are they still going to be working the way that you expect them to? The other big thing to think about with our AI, what is it? It's non-deterministic. So there's deterministic. I keep getting this screwed up. Anyways, there's deterministic output and non-deterministic output. Deterministic output is like 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Right? So when you have deterministic output, it's really easy to understand when the systems start to fail. Right? If you put in 2 plus 2 and it comes out as 5, you have a failure. One of the things I talk about, right? Hard fails. Hard fails are good. Soft fails suck. Hard fails mean your entire server just craps the bed. Your server shuts down. Here's the thing. Yes, that sucks from a troubleshoot from dealing with it. But when your entire server shuts down, you know there's a problem. Hey, boss, there's a problem. Why do you say there's a problem? Because the server's off. Right? That's easy. The issue you get to is when you have soft fails. What happens when things seem to work, but the output isn't really what it's supposed to be? Right? I think about that with email systems back in the day. What happens when 95 out of 100 emails get sent, or 95 out of 100 emails get received? So most people almost all the time are receiving emails. Every once in a while an email drops. So you know your routes are correct, more or less your configurations are correct. Why would there be 5% fucking failure, right? And then you go in and there's some weird setting that caches for a certain length of time or whatever else, and you have to troubleshoot that. That really sucks. One of the things to be thinking about with this non-deterministic AI systems is when they go in and they're constantly creating new answers, right? It's generative AI, which means every time you make a request, you always get a new answer. What happens when those answers start degrading slowly over time? Would you notice a 5% worse answer from generative AI? Would you even notice it? What if it was a 5% worse answer this month and maybe a 5% worse answer next month? What if 5% of the time the answer was 50% worse? And think about this, especially with API calls. You've integrated this into your systems. And that's where I say with this kind of stuff, you have to be careful. There's a difference between amazing technology, really cool products, and shit that I would actually implement. As I said back in the day, we used to have a rule back in the day with Microsoft, do not implement in anything until version 3, right? Version 1 of Microsoft proves that they're building that product. Hey, look, apparently Microsoft is building that product, right? Version 2 that Microsoft built probably did more or less what the box says it's supposed to do, probably. And then version 3 of the product actually did what the hell it was supposed to do. And yes, you did have to troubleshoot and maintain it, but you could reasonably maintain it. I would say that's something to think about in the AI world with a lot of these products, is really think about getting that version 3 of these products and making sure on the long term, they are going to be providing you the results that you expect at the price point that you expect, or things can get really, really, really nasty. So anyways, There's something for you to think about with Claude Code. Hey, you get 240 hours or 480 hours or 5 hours. What's an hour? Stop asking those questions. Only an imposter would ask Anthropic what an hour is. And that's where, I think that's one of the interesting things too, just to go off on a little tangent here. I think that's one of the interesting things too with these fucking AI companies and this vibe coding horseshit, right? Is it's called imposter syndrome, right? Nobody wants to be seen as the imposter. Even old school tech professionals have been doing stuff for decades. Every once in a while, they get the imposter syndrome of maybe I shouldn't be here. So imagine these shitty ass AI companies, right? Feeding into the vibe coding frenzy. And then think about the vibe coders not wanting to appear as amateur hour as they actually are. So they're not going to ask the basic question of what the fucking hour is. And make sure they really understand what's defined, right? If you get real technology professionals, right, people that have been implementing this crap for a decade, they are going to want to know, what does this actually mean? What systems can I put in place so that I can audit how much my people are using your systems to verify more or less they're equal, right? That's what a professional would say. A fucking vibe coder imposter piece of crap would be like, oh, I know. I mean, if I ask them what an hour is, they're gonna see me as the imposter that I am. And so, anyways, that's the other thing we're getting at AI. It is interesting with this AI. So much of this AI stuff is a scam. You look at how obfuscation and psychological manipulation is built into these AI companies' business models. You realize what's going on. Or I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Claude Code and Anthropic implementing these limits? 7-day rate limits. For their products. What do you think about hours? Hours. 240 hours, 480 hours, 5 hours. Like, do you know what the fuck that means? Like seriously, when you're like, oh no. That's a problem with Eli. Eli's just this MCSE NT 4.0. He doesn't understand what hours are. Do you actually understand what the hell that means? Do you think Anthropic understands what the hell that means? Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Tell me how awesome I am or what a fucking imposter I am. Remember, as far as YouTube is concerned, it's an interaction, and that's all they care about. Do remember silicondojo.com. Next week, we're actually having a co-founder and CTO of a technology company that does integrations. He's going to be talking about, or we're going to have a conversation for a fireside chat on integrating artificial intelligence into their platform and how that worked out. The week after, we're also going to have the VP for AI models for IBM. He's going to come in for a fireside chat, so you can go to silicondojo.com, sign up for those. You can be part of a little Zoom conversation, ask questions, that type of thing. So go over there. And with that, see y'all later.